guys, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Angela Shurina. I'm your host. I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to bring to you, share with you, discover for you all the best brain body tools so you can take better control of your body, of your mind, of your thoughts, of your emotions, and most importantly, of your actions. So you can get out there and create the life and the business and the relationships that you absolutely love living. And guys, I'm not promising here any hacks or shortcuts, just better tools based on research and best practices of people who achieved what we aspire to achieve. So I'm offering here to you this as I discover them, as I put them into practice, my personal and with my clients, and with the purpose of giving you these tools sooner than later so you can make progress sooner than later. And today, folks, I'm very excited about this episode. I don't talk much about nutrition these days, nutrition and health, even though it is obviously a crucial, essential part of our well-being, of our success in life. Take nutrition. It's building blocks of every single cell in your body and in your brain. How you eat will define how much energy you have, what kind of brain chemistry you have, what kind of mood you have. It's not just about building your brain, it's also changing your blood sugar and your blood pressure and all kinds of molecules in your blood. And then your gut, we have trillions of bacteria in our gut that create all these different substances that actually change our mood, our thoughts, and our actions. So nutrition and health and sleep and stress management, they are so fundamental. And that's why, for example, in my work with my clients, whether that's one-on-one clients or whether these companies now, I work on a combination of three things: body, mind, and work. And that's because if we are neglecting one of those areas and not paying attention to it, and it's really suffering, then it's going to cause problems in all of the other areas and ultimately going to decrease the quality of our lives. So for example, today we're talking about nutrition for looks, nutrition for abs. And looks might feel superficial, but there is this saying, don't judge a book by its cover, but we do. We absolutely do. When a person comes into the room and they have this beautiful physique that is built, that is taken care of, they have this beautiful skin and shine of health and vitality on their face, in their posture, don't you want to be more around those people and work with them and just soak up some of that energy? Vitality is magnetic, guys. And it's not just about looks, but looks do matter, especially the ones that show hard work, like the muscles. If I walk into some room and I'm wearing something where you can see my body a little bit, I always become a center of attention, even for a little bit, but they're like, oh, I don't know what she's doing, but I think I got to do more of that. So looks. But then also, when you work on your looks in the right way, taking care of your health, of your performance as well, obviously that's going to increase your energy and your vitality and improve the quality of your relationships and life and work and business and every single thing that is in your life. Folks, if I didn't have the health and vitality that I do have now, I don't think I'd be getting at those high, hard goals and suffering so much all the way to it while working hard. I wouldn't be able to do that. And that's what I notice also with people. The more vitality and health you have, the more you feel like you are capable of achieving a lot more. And that will change what goals you set, what visions you have, and ultimately what you're going to give an honest try, an honest goal, and ultimately what you're going to achieve. when we shoot for the stars, we might not always end up exactly there, but we'll definitely end up much further along the way than if we shoot somewhere very, very sustainable and, smart goals and very sensible. So the higher you shoot and the more you work on that, the higher you're gonna get. Sometimes you overshoot your own goals, and sometimes you fall short, but you still achieve a lot more. And health and vitality, guys, it's your charging station. That's where you actually get your energy and your confidence to persevere and to be gritty and to put into it more work than an average person. That being said, I was trying to motivate you guys to be excited about working on your health, working on your healthy habits, working on your physique, and yes, working on your nutrition and your abs. The other day, I'm subscribed to Michael Easter's newsletter, 2%er, as he likes to call it. Michael Easter wrote 2 books, Comfort Crisis and then Scarcity Brain. Both are amazing, just so much insight and practical wisdom that's going to transform your life. And a lot of the things that he wrote about became popular in practices like misogi or challenges done regularly to transform your body, mind, and soul. Became quite a thing in certain circles. So Michael Easter has this newsletter, and in the newsletter before last, he wrote a beautiful post with all the takeaways you'll ever need if you want to cut weight as a fighter. So he interviewed one of his friends, Tyler Minton, who has the book Fueling Fight Week, The Science of Eating for Weight Cut. And so Michael Easter interviewed Tyler Minton for his newsletter, and he broke down how cutting diet works for fighters and why it matters for all of us who care more about weight loss than fighting. And then he brings to you better approach to weight loss and getting abs instead of getting stuck with keto diets or some crash diets that, yes, change the weight fast on the scale for like a week or 2, maybe months if you're really greedy, and then it gets all the way back and higher. So why does it happen? So stay tuned, and you're gonna learn quite a few interesting takeaways about weight cut and weight loss and what you actually need to focus on in terms of numbers in your nutrition in a simple way, and also what you do not need to focus on, and where to focus your effort in terms of getting consistent results. Because let's face it, not that many people have abs in general. You look on a general population, more and more people are having troubles with maintaining just regular weight, leave alone getting abs. But obviously, if you are a high achiever, top performer, you kind of want to hit it, at least not for your whole life, then at least once. And it's possible no matter at what age you are. So Tyler Minton and Michael Easter, in this newsletter, they talk about fighters' diet and fighters' cutting a week before fight. Well, actually, the weigh-in of fighters happens 2 days before the fight. Well, on Friday morning, they weigh in, and on Saturday night, they fight. So on Friday morning, they are trying to cut as much weight as possible to be in a lighter weight class, so then they can put that weight back on and be heavier and more of a harder opponent in the fight, because the weight does matter. But what they do not do, those fighters, and by the way, those fighters lose up to fight 10 to 20 pounds or about 5 to 10 kilos. They are lighter 5 to 10 kilos, and they do that in about 5 days, I believe. So 5 to 10 kilos in 5 days. And then for the fight, that is 1.5 days later, they put it back on, all of it. Not so many people, though, know or think of the fact that fighters do not try to lose fat or muscle. No, the only thing they're trying to lose is water, which we hold a lot of for hydration, performance, and health purposes. Like water serves a lot of purposes in our body. It's the fundamental, crucial, essential element. If you don't get water and you get dehydrated, you die, right? So water is very important. And human beings tend to have a lot of it. Like our body weight is 70 to 80% water, right? A lot of water. And so when fighters cut in 5 days for their fight, what they do is they drop as much water as possible. And then using smart strategies, they rehydrate their tissues. That's all they do, folks. And most of your crash diets that you try, and even diets like keto and low carb, when you see the huge weight cut in the first 5 to 7 days, what you're losing is water, especially if you seemingly or truly not in a calorie deficit, you eat the same calories, but you drop weight. And people get hooked on that, or I eat whatever I want and I'm losing weight. You're losing water. And that is not necessarily the good thing or the thing that matters. When you eat carbohydrates and you have more glycogen stored in your muscles, for example, each gram of carbohydrate stores at least 3 grams of water. And so when you diminish that storage of your carbohydrates in your muscle tissue, a lot of water drops. Let's say you hold about 400 grams of carbohydrates, multiply that by 3, that is going to be 1.2 kilo of water you just hold to hold carbs. But not only that, a lot of people going on keto, low carb, different crash diets, they start eating a lot less fiber. That happens often, especially on keto diet. And fiber also, when you drop the fiber amount, you drop the amount of gut bacteria that was feeding on that fiber. Microbes in our gut, they eat fiber. And so when they don't have to eat anything to eat, like fiber, they die. And you can lose up to 3-4 pounds or about 1.5-2 kilos of that gut bacteria that is now starving and dying. And that also will add to the volume of the water you lose. And that's exactly what fighters do as well. They drop carbohydrates, they drop their fiber content. They also drop their salt amount. They don't eliminate it completely because that negatively affects health and performance. We need salt to survive. If we get rid of all of the salt in our diet, we die because electricity doesn't happen, the cells don't communicate, nerves don't communicate, your heart cannot beat, your muscles cannot contract. So when we have zero salt, that's actually hard to achieve because all of the foods have some sodium. It just very often it's not enough if you just get it from foods without adding any salt. So anyhow, fighters before their weigh-in, they drop a lot of water by dropping carbohydrates, by keeping their calories, though somewhat the same as usual, by dropping a lot of salt, and then also doing things like going to sauna and sweating it all out. And on the morning of weigh-in, they don't eat, they don't drink, they just stay dehydrated as much as possible. And then they drop a ton of water because of combination of gut bacteria loss, of water loss because of no carbohydrates stored or almost no, because of much less sodium that also allows to drop water because salt actually holds some water, and that's what allows to hydrate our tissues and cells properly. But when you drop that salt, you also drop a lot of that water, right? And so what you get with fighters, they drop a lot of weight, again, 10 to 20 pounds or 5 to 10 kilos, but that is water weight. And again, a human being is 70 to 80% water, and we hold a lot of water for different purposes, for health and performance. And then on the day after, right after the weigh-in, fighters start adopting smart strategies to rehydrate back. It doesn't mean they just start eating like crazy. No, what they actually do is they start getting back their carbohydrates. And by the way, their diet most of the time is 60-70% carbohydrates. So they start eating back the carbohydrates slowly though, because rehydration with that dehydration before. If you do it too quickly, you can die, and it's detrimental to health. So electrolyte balance is a very crucial aspect of your life. And if you get it wrong, whether you're cutting for a fight or got drunk, and that's why your electrolyte balance is all over the place. So anyhow, electrolyte balance is very important and can cause death if done inappropriate and in a wrong way. So fighters rehydrate themselves by introducing carbohydrates, by introducing salts, by not sweating anymore and eating normally, and getting certain sport drinks and certain electrolyte solutions and certain more digestible sugars, like, for example, jelly bears. So a lot of different things they do to rehydrate slowly and in the right way, and for the fight to be 10 to 20 pounds back to their natural fighting weight. So that's what fighters do. But guess what a lot of dieters do? Kind of exactly the same thing. They decide to go on this keto diet. They drop all of their carbohydrates almost. They drop a lot of salt because they stop, in most cases, eating all that processed and packaged foods. What else people do? Drop a lot of fiber. And so you lose that gut bacteria, you lose that fiber, by the way, also holds water when in your stomach. So you lose that as well. You drop sodium, you lose weight, and your carbohydrate stores in your muscles and in your liver get much lower. And so you store less water. And so you drop a lot of weight, but you drop water. So congratulations, you lost water. And the ease of that loss makes it feel addictive. Like, oh, that worked. And also in reverse story, when we start working with my clients who are recovering from their keto diet, they're like, that is obviously not working. I keep binging on stuff and I'm just going back and forth, and I just want to eat normal. So when we introduce more fiber, when we introduce more healthy carbohydrates, what folks notice at first, like, well, but I kind of gained weight or I'm not losing. But the reason is because you're getting your water back, you're getting your gut microbiome back, you're getting your fiber back that also holds water. That's what you're gaining. You're gaining water for health and performance. Now back to abs. In order to see your abs, for example, you need to start dropping body fat. And body fat will not be dropped until you are in a calorie deficit. Keto, no keto, your body will not budge until beyond water, until you start dropping calories. In this newsletter, also what was very, I love this idea because it's very useful and insightful. That's what I'm trying to say, is that Tyler Minton, by the way, he has his book. Don't forget, if you want to learn more about that, you can read it. But don't forget also that dehydration practices are quite dangerous. So his book, if you're curious, the Fueling Fight Week, the science of eating for a weight cut. But again, weight cut is not weight loss. You're not losing fat. You're hopefully not losing muscle, but you are losing a bunch of water. And so Tyler Minton also has this concept, and all of the coaches, all of the people who are actually not knowledgeable in the area of nutrition, of metabolism and weight loss, they totally agree. So Tyler Minton has this framework: carbs plus fiber. If you eliminate those, you lose water weight. If you work on calories, that's where you're going to be losing your fat. Let me get back to a little bit to that. Tyler Minton framework is for where do calories, macronutrients like fats, carbs, and proteins, and micronutrients, those vitamins and minerals that we find in whole foods, how do they matter for our body composition and our performance? I'm just looking at my notes and couldn't figure out what I put in there. So calories matter for your weight. If you want to lose fat, you gotta be counting your calories. And if you're not losing that fat, your calorie equation does not work. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means that your body mathematics do not work as you think they do. Macronutrients, your protein, your carbs, your fats, they're going to define how you look. And that, again, Tyler Minton's concept. He is, one of the top nutritionists out there working specifically with fighters and performance athletes. So calories for your weight, macros, how you look, because they're going to define how much muscle you put on, and also your macronutrients, how much protein you eat and how much fat and carb in your calories. They're going to help you to shape your body composition, right? So calories and macronutrients, those together will define your looks. And in theory, even on a crappy diet with some multivitamins, multiminerals, and as a supplement, you can shape quite good physique. But micronutrients, those vitamins and minerals and fibers and antioxidants that come in whole food, they will define, and that's crucial, folks, they will define how you feel, how you perform and recover. And so you can be on many different weird diets that are in balance with vitamins and minerals and those micronutrients that we desire. So they can be in balance and you can still build a great physique. But it's almost a guarantee, unless you are some sort of superhuman, that if you don't eat your fruit and veg, you're going to feel like crap. Your gut microbiome, and because of that, your brain chemistry, and again, how you feel, going to be screwed up. Your performance and recovery also going to be screwed up. So yes, you can look the part, but you soon start to not feel the part and start having all these different issues, whether that's your mood or your cravings or your energy levels, your sleep quality, all of these things that define the quality of our life. So Tyler Minton's framework, again, and I'm going to tell you how to implement it. Calories will define your weight gain, weight loss. Macronutrients, how you actually look within those calories, more muscle, more fat. And micronutrients, how you feel, your mood, your energy, your performance and recovery. And don't forget, sleep quality is in that recovery. And in my abs framework, I always work with people on 3 numbers. Number 1, calories, and that we have a benchmark. So for an average guy, it's about 2,000. We try that out. For a taller guy, it might be 2,200. For a woman, it's anywhere from 1,800 to 1,500. So we try that out number and see how it affects your weight in a week, couple of weeks. And then we adjust according on our progress and how you feel, right? So this is the first number we figure out through practice with our clients. Then the second, protein amount. If you want to look more muscly, if you want to build muscle, lose fat, if you want to look toned, you got to eat more protein. And especially if you want to lose body fat but build muscle, your protein has to be a lot. They say 2.5. I personally shoot for 3 grams per kilogram of body weight. And that allows me to lose fat, preserve muscle, and get really lean and toned without my health suffering. Things like my period, my menstrual cycle getting out of balance. So protein has to be on point, absolutely. And I also notice the more that you get from whole foods, the better the mathematics for your calories as well, and the more satiety you'll feel. And then the third number is 800 grams of fruit and vegetables. That is based on research that is not by me, but done by other professionals. 800 grams of fruit and vegetables every day seem to give us a pretty good benchmark of vitamins and minerals, hitting all of your fiber as well. So with my clients, through different habits that we build together, figuring out how it's going to fit in their lifestyle, in their food preferences, in their food environment, the habits they have, social engagements, etc., convenience, their schedule. We're trying to figure out how can we make these numbers work and work them consistently? How can we maintain that calorie deficit, staying in good mood, good energy, not self-sabotaging, not developing cravings or hunger, sleep sleeping well? How can we maintain high protein intake needed to get the physique they want? And then how can we introduce 800 grams of fruit and vegetables? Because with every single client I work with, it's hard for them to get that at the beginning. With practice, it gets better and better and better, and they don't understand what they struggled with. And also your gut microbiome gets used to digesting that much, and you feel much more comfort in your gut. But at first, that also is quite challenging. And a lot of my clients actually complain that, well, I have to eat so much stuff. Now I don't have any space for other calories, like stuff that they like, some cookies or some drinks that they like, coffee drinks or tea drinks. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly the point. If you want the physique you want, there is so much good stuff that you have to eat that you have no space for crappy foods. Some people who are more into sports, who want to be more active, they do have the space for those extra calories to eat an extra cookie or whatever that, piece of food that they really love. But I always remind them, if you are active, if you are athletic, you actually need more for recovery. And so if you introduce just more crappy calories, it means that you're not going to be getting that extra that you need for your body, for your cells, for your tissues to properly recover. Like if you weight train a lot, you might need even more protein, and you need more minerals and vitamins that make those proteins to be absorbed and metabolized and digested and used for your recovery. So all athletes, they need more of those vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and all kinds of protective chemicals that are good chemicals that our food, natural food, unprocessed foods have. So before trying to then run more so you can eat that cookie, think about that. Well, maybe instead of that cookie, you might want to eat more fruit and vegetables or just whole foods in general so you can get better recovery and feel and perform much better. So 3 numbers for your abs. And I'm yet to see the person who consistently hits these 3 numbers and doesn't get the amazing physique that everyone is just like jaw-dropping, right? So if you can consistently hit that number, stay in calorie deficit, and for most people, it means experimenting. You do not just say to your body, or I'm in 1800 calories, that means you should be losing that. No, you experiment and you figure that out. And that's what I help my clients to do. Protein number 2.4, 2.5 to 3 if you want to lose fat and build muscle, and if you weight train. And 800 grams in fruit and vegetables per day. More, knock your head out. Less, not recommended. And then 5 to 10%, I usually recommend if you really want to have some comfort foods and some cookies or something else, 5 to 10% of your daily calories. So if you eat, let's say 2,000 calories, that's your 1 to 200 calories tops that you're allowance for different crappy foods. Crappy foods, I just say it, folks, not because I believe they don't have place in someone's diet, but I do know, and it is a scientific fact, that they are of much lower quality and they do not contribute to your health, maybe psychologically, like stress release. That's why they call it stress eating. But physiologically, they make your body work harder and they take from your recovery and performance, do not give to it. Unless, of course, you consider those extra calories, but then again, you can get them from better fuels. So the abs 3-number abs formula: calories, you got to be in deficit. Your protein, 2.4 to 3 grams per kilogram of body weight, and 800 grams of fruit and vegetables. But obviously, then the most challenging part comes: how do I make it happen? And that's what we work on most of the time with my clients. Okay, now people start to understand the whole thing, how nutrition works and why. Now they're like, well, how do I make it happen while going out, while traveling, while being super busy and not really cooking but eating out? I'm stress eating and I have these binges and I have these cravings. How do I make it happen? And that's where we start working on each situation, on each non-working pattern or habit that people adapt it. So we start working on it one by one, answering the question. So what's stopping you to hit those numbers? And we list out as many of them as possible, and addressing then one issue at a time. Social life, is that what's stopping you? And you used to eating all kinds of things that do not work towards these numbers? Is this your hunger and your cravings? Are you stress eating, late night eating? Is that the habit that we need to tackle? Which is it? What's in the way? And we address each one by one, and we create new habits that work for the numbers, habits that you can maintain for life. And once we transform majority of those habits and people hit good consistency, like the moon, the sky is not the limit. There are footprints on the moon. They get the exact physique and very often better. Very often people shoot I just want to be for a guy 10% body fat. And they're like, I'm actually getting an 8 or 9. And I'm like, maybe I should compete. So this system works beautifully. Tyler Minton also figured it out, and just how the body works. And all these keto diets and low-carb diets and all kinds of crash diets, if you lose a lot of weight in 1 week, you're not losing any fat. Fat loss is quite challenging, guys. You have to be in a calorie deficit, and at least to start losing some tissue, not water. And that is always, in almost all cases, is challenging. Your body does not like to give up those storages of tissue, either fat or muscle. The body likes to get stuff, not lose stuff, because that in older times when we were hunter-gatherers meant you could die because you're losing your energy. You're in an energy deficit, and energy is the currency of life. And that's why your body and your brain are so tough when it comes to protecting those energy resources, right? So remember, from Tyler Minton, calories will define your weight, losing, gaining. Macronutrients, protein specifically, and then fats and carbs. By the way, folks, it doesn't matter how many carbs or fats you really have. For your digestion, yes, we have different digestive systems, but when it comes to energy loss, doesn't matter. You can eat some fats, you can eat some carbs. That's where actually most people thrive. And if you decide to go low carb, all you're going to be losing faster is your water, not any sorts of calories. And that's what, based on research, human randomized control studies, when they say golden standard in science. So calories, macros, and then micros, or your vitamins and minerals and fibers and antioxidants. They define how you feel, also how your skin looks, by the way, how you perform, and how you recover. And let's sum it up. For calories, you want to figure out through trial and error, where is your deficit? And if your weight isn't changing or you're not losing, you're not in a calorie deficit, no matter what Google says you should be in. So you got to lower it. Keeping in mind that your macronutrients, how you lower those calories matter. So you do not drop your protein amount ever. It always stays 2.4 to 3 if you want to lose fat and build muscle. What you lose, your calories from are carbohydrates or fats. And again, doesn't really matter what you decide to lose, whatever works best for you and for your hunger. And then in there, 800 grams fruit or vegetables, all of them together as close to the number as possible to also control your satiety much better, not be hungry, and feel good, look good, sleep good, recover and perform well when you do your exercise or other activities. And then for most people, it means just about 5% or maximum 10%, unless you're very athletic and active, of daily allowance for the foods that do not fit into any of those calories, foods like cookies, or I don't know, whatever it is you like, 5 to 10% of your calories. And again, that means if you have 2,000 calories per day, you only are allowed 100 or maximum 200 calories of suboptimal foods. And then what comes into play is all the struggles that you actually have with food behaviors. What's in the way? Your social life, lack of planning, lack of prepping, lack of time, not knowing what to order. stress eating, eating at night, drinking, what's in the way, and work on that habit, which will allow you then to hit the numbers, which will then lead to ideal body composition. People often think that they just need to hit the numbers, but the question is, well, why haven't you done that already? And that's what you need to address to succeed. And that's true for weight loss and true in business. Right now, I'm in a struggle phase with my business, and so I'm trying to figure that out for myself. What is stopping me from becoming as successful as money reach, as abundant, as business reach and abundant as possible? And as soon as I figure that out, the sky is not the limit. There are footprints on the moon. So figure that out, what's stopping you, and that will allow you to hit the right numbers, and that will allow you to hit the right body composition or business goals. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. The link to my new newsletter where you get tips like that and a lot more, and it's every day and it's absolutely free and it's very short, and you get it daily, the best science that's out there. The link to my newsletter, 1 pro tip a day that your best self will thank you for. The link is in the show notes. Please check it out. And if you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe, and please do share it. And folks, till next time, stay tuned and start building those apps, because looks do matter.